Hi everybody, welcome back to Catherine Sews. Thanks so much for coming back to me today. So yesterday I showed you how to make the really quick and easy toque. That was super lightning fast. And now how to make the matching gaiter style mask. So even if there was not a global pandemic happening, this would just still be the coziest way to face a snowy day if you're a snowboarder or skier or you just like to play in the snow. This is super warm and cozy. Now you can make it in a lighter silkier fabric as well. And stick around to the end because I'll show you how to put a lining in there, just so if you're wearing it indoors you do want that third layer, especially on a lightweight knit like this. But it really does make a cozy, nice, comfy scarf. And this is lightning fast. And so I've got a couple nice tricks to show you for the serger of how to make these loops. I think you're gonna have fun with it. So stick around, I'll show you what you need and you'll be done in a minute.
So for the gaiter mask project, all you're going to need is a 22-inch square piece. So 22 inches both directions, or 56 centimeters square. Good. And then you'll need one little piece for ear loops. And this is about 2 inches wide by really just about, by about 10 or 12 inches. We only need about 8 inches, but better not to skimp. 5 centimeters by 25 centimeters should do the trick. Okay, and I'm going to start by just taking this big 22-inch square piece and finding the direction of stretch. I want it to be going across, so it's quite stretchy that way, not stretchy at all this way. So it's going to stretch around the face like this. Now I'm going to fold it into quarters. I'm going to bring the top down and then in half again. And the measurements I'm giving you are, of course, for an average size. Good. With it in quarters like that my direction of stretch is this way. This is the double fold. There's a fold here and a fold here, right? These are the raw edges. So from this corner with the double fold, I'm going to measure over 4.5 inches or about 11 centimeters. There. From the bottom where it's all 4 raw edges coming together, I'm going to measure 4.5 inches there too. And then I'm going to connect those dots. Good. And then either with scissors or rotary cutter, I'm just going to cut right on that line. Good. And then the last thing I'm going to do before we start sewing is give myself just a little notch where the ear loop piece is going to come back out, and that notch is going to be 3 inches or 8 centimeters from that fold there. And just a small little notch. Good, just like that, just big enough to see. 3 inches down from that fold. Awesome. So I'm going to leave this piece here. I'm going to start with the ear loops, and I'm going to show you a really fun and fast way to serge a strap and then turn it. At the serger, the first thing I'm going to do before I even put my fabric in is serge off a long chain of thread that is just a little bit longer than my piece. There we go. So as long as it's longer than the strap I'm making, now I'm going to just take that serging chain of thread around and wrap my piece right sides together around it. And I want to have that serging thread jammed right up against the fold here so I don't catch it in my seam. So let's get that right into the fold and then serge your edges. And then serge right off. So now this little chain of thread, it's still attached to that side, to that other end. So look what happens when I pull. I might have to just tuck in a little bit to get it started. That's really the only hard part. The only little tricky bit is right at the beginning. So I can even poke it with a pencil to get it started. And then I can just pull it through. Do you see that? Oh my gosh. Isn't that the best? Now don't just jam up a bunch on the end here, it just won't turn nicely. Just do a little bit at a time. And I'm kind of holding the serged edge to let the rest slip through. There you go. Isn't that fun? Good. So now I'm going to take this one piece and cut it in half to be the 2 ear loops. Good. So first of all, just cutting off that long thread and then right in half. I've got two pieces that are about 6 inches or 15 centimeters long, but we're going to still be trimming some off of them. We don't actually need them to be that long. So now onto the main piece. I'm going to take these and jam them right into that corner. I don't want it down away from the corner at all because it'll make a funny looking corner on the outside. I really want to jam it right into that corner, and I'm going to put a pin right there. This piece is, of course, right sides together. I'm going to put another pin right at my notch, because what that is going to do is to help this ear loop piece. I want it to come straight, kind of straight across and then out. I don't need a big ear loop because this is going to be already touching my ear, so I don't want it hanging down low. So I want that to come straight across and then out. So this first pin just kind of helps make that shape. Good. And then down to those corners. Same thing on the other side. So jam that first bit right into that corner, pin, and then put another pin right at that notch, and bring that loop out around that pin, but straighten it out as much as you can. You want to use as little of the ear loop as possible without making that bunch up in between. And pin your corners. So my serger won't love trimming that off, so I'm going to trim it off first with scissors. So I'm going to serge those two edges. If you don't have a serger, you can use a fairly tight zigzag, and you would just use a 1/4 inch seam allowance or edge of your presser foot as a guide. Okay, first pin comes out before I even get started. Ooh, there's a pin hidden in there. Oh, see, that's why I do not like bringing pins to the serger. Other side, same thing. Good, so let's just look to see what that looks like. The two ear loops come nicely into those corners at the top. Good. And they're about the same. And you can try it on at this point before you finish it off. Try it on and make sure you're comfortable with that width there between the ears. Good. Good, so if you're happy with that, we're going to flip it back inside out. And now I'm going to serge just across that whole bottom edge. Put a few pins if you want to make sure you end up even at the corner. Maybe one in the middle. And one at the end. Okay, serging right across the bottom edge. Okay, I'm excited, we're almost done. Okay, so now we've got basically a long tube. It just has a couple funny angles in it, but it is a tube. So I'm going to reach into this end of the tube until I get to this end, and I'm going to grab that end here and pull it till it meets the opposite side. So now I've got the circle of the left side with the circle of the right side. So putting those two circles together. They are right sides together, and I'm going to match up those two seams and put a pin. And the other two seams. Now this is a little bit of a tighter circle, but we're going to be still sewing around it, but not all the way. I'm going to start about 1 inch before this pin and come around and go to 1 inch up after this pin. So this is leaving the gap that we're going to be able to turn the whole mask right side out. So I definitely want to make sure my edge is together, but I am only serging 2 edges. Don't get all 4 in there. Just 2 edges around the circle. And then there's where I started. I want to make sure that my gap is just big enough to comfortably turn the whole mask right side out. That is a bit of a small hole. You could leave it a little bit bigger. There we go. There's the 2 ear loops. Okay. All we have left to do is just to close up that little opening. You can use a needle and thread and a ladder stitch and close it up neatly, but honestly, you know what? I like to know which is the inside. Just for safety purposes, I don't want to accidentally take it off and put it on with the outside facing in. So I'm tucking in the edges, and then I'm going to sew nice and close to that edge. And there's the finished product. It cuts right down in the back, which is really nice to go around your hair. It just fits really comfortably around your head. 22 inches is a little bit bigger than my head measurement, but it doesn't have to fit super tight because you have the ear loops to hold it in place, and this kind of drapes behind your head. You can make this also out of a fabric, like a lighter weight fabric, more for indoor use so you don't get overheated. But in that case, I would have a seam across the top. So the only fold would be here down the middle. This you would not have on the fold. You'll have a seam there, and you'll be able to have a 3rd layer of fabric in there. Then you'll serge right across the top and bottom. Notice I've angled it in because you only really need that 3rd layer up around where your mouth is going to be. You don't really need it down here. We're just having it here to anchor it to the bottom. So angling it in is nice so that when you do take it off, it doesn't all fall into one hard line here. It softens up that extra layer. Good? Alrighty. So you would just serge that in place for your lining. Now, if you're not sure if you need that 3rd layer, just do a candle test. I put these 2 layers up to my mouth and I could just blow out a candle very easily. But with the 3rd layer, the candle did flicker a bit, but it didn't blow out. For outdoor use, you don't have to worry as much about that because it's really when you're indoors that we're most at risk.
And I do want to recognize another YouTuber named Dawn Takis, who has some great techniques for making a gaiter style mask like this. She has so many mask videos and she's just brilliant. She has the best way of adding in a nose wire to a mask like this. Really a brilliant solution to how to add a removable nose wire. So I'll link her video here as well. Check her out. But that's it for my last minute gifts for the super cozy gaiter style mask and the toque. If you didn't see the toque video from yesterday, I'll link it here. I hope you like those techniques. And if you learned something, you gotta hit that subscribe button. It helps me so much and I really do appreciate it. I want to wish everybody happy holidays, be safe and be kind, and here's to a better 2021. Take care, everybody.